Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to go on a fascinating journey. It all starts with that crazy, dizzying, can't eat, can't sleep feeling of falling head over heels in love. And it ends on solid ground, with the real work of building a love that can actually go the distance. So let's dive right in. We've all heard the storybook ending, right? And they lived happily ever after. But what happens after the book closes? The truth is, that fairy tale moment, that's not the end. It's really just the beginning of the actual story. So let's start at that beginning. Welcome to Act 1, what we can call the biological spell. This is that super powerful, totally intoxicating phase that first pulls two people together. And as we're about to find out, it's also very, very temporary. This slide really breaks it down for us. You see, infatuation, that feeling of falling in love, is mostly instinctual. It's a biological program that kind of just runs on its own. But conscious love, well, that's something totally different. That's a choice. It's something we choose to build day after day using our rational minds. And get this, that initial intense phase, it actually have a biological expiration date. On average, it lasts about 18 to 24 months. You might be wondering why. Well, from an evolutionary perspective, its main job was just to keep a couple bonded long enough to potentially have a child. After that window, the brain chemistry literally starts to shift. And honestly, it's a good thing that chemistry changes. This quote says it perfectly. As amazing as that initial high feels, it's just not rational. We see our partner as the answer to everything. Can you imagine trying to live your whole life like that? It would be completely dysfunctional. Okay, so let's move on to Act 2. This is when the spell starts to wear off. The rose-colored glasses come off, and all of a sudden we're noticing all the little things that get on our nerves. This is the reality check. So why does this happen? And more importantly, what does it tell us about ourselves? Well, it happens because deep down, we're all navigating our relationships using a very old map. Think of it like a relational GPS that was programmed into us when we were kids, based on how we saw our parents interact. This map unconsciously guides who we're drawn to. So, for example, if one of your parents was emotionally distant, your internal GPS might, without you even realizing it, seek out that same dynamic in a partner. And here's the wild part. A staggering 90% of what's on that map in our mental folders about love is totally unconscious. That means for the most part, we're just running on autopilot, repeating old patterns we learned a long, long time ago. So where did we learn all this? From our very first teachers of love, our parents. Generally speaking, our mother figure is who teaches us about the emotional side of things. Care, empathy, comfort. And our father figure tends to teach us about autonomy and how to feel safe and capable out in the world. These become our default settings. Now here's a powerful metaphor. Imagine we're all born with a set of empty test tubes. Each one represents a core emotional need. If those test tubes didn't get filled consistently when we were kids, we carry them right into our adult relationships and, you guessed it, we unconsciously expect our partner to be the one to fill them up. And what are these core needs? They're pretty universal for all of us. It's the need to be truly seen, to be heard, to be understood, and of course, to be loved. When these needs from our past are still aching to be met, we project them onto our partners. We basically set them up with an impossible job, to care for us like a parent. And that's just a recipe for disappointment. But this is where it gets good. This brings us to the final and most powerful act, the conscious choice. This is the moment we can stop being passengers, just following that old, outdated map, and instead become the actual architects of our relationships. So how do we do that? How do we become the architect? It starts with taking responsibility. And listen, this isn't about blaming yourself. It's a process. First, you have to give up the excuses. Stop letting your past justify your present. Second, do the work to really understand your own story. Third, you make an active choice to redraw that map. And finally, and this is the most important part, you start practicing these new ways of being right now in your actual relationship. So once we've started redrawing that map, we can begin to build something new, something strong. And just like any good building, a conscious relationship needs a really solid foundation. Let's take a look at the pillars that hold it all up. So what's the secret sauce? This is so interesting. When researchers studied couples who'd been together for over 35 years, they found something amazing. What kept them together wasn't nonstop, fiery passion. It was these four things: respect, friendship, trust, and commitment. That's the foundation.
Now, when we say friendship here, it's way deeper than just being pals. It means a conscious, active caring for your partner's inner world. It's about creating what's beautifully called a relational riverbed, this safe, steady space where you can both share anything, even your deepest struggles, without being judged.
And that leads us to the final and maybe the most crucial skill of all for conscious love. Look, it's not about trying to avoid fights or never hurting each other. That's just impossible. It's about getting really, really good at the art of repair.
This quote just nails it. The goal isn't perfection, it's resilience. A strong relationship isn't defined by a lack of problems. It's defined by its ability to come back together after the problems, to repair the connection after it's been broken.
There's this Japanese art form called kintsugi, and it's the perfect metaphor. When a piece of pottery breaks, they don't throw it away. They fix it with lacquer mixed with real gold. The cracks aren't hidden, they're highlighted. The idea is that the piece is now more beautiful because it was broken. And it's the exact same with our relationships. They become stronger and more uniquely beautiful because of the struggles they've successfully repaired together.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. Conscious love is not some passive feeling that just happens to you. It is an active, daily investment that you make in the health and safety of the space between you and your partner. So the real question isn't about finding that one perfect person who's going to fill all your empty test tubes. The question we should be asking ourselves is this: are you ready to stop being a passenger and to start being the conscious architect of your own love story?